As players look to move on from the Calgary Flames, coaching staff comes in.
You're Locked On Flames, your daily podcast on the Calgary Flames. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome to today's episode of Locked On Flames. As always, I am your host, Jess Belmosto, and I'm so happy and excited to be here with you on this Friday evening or whenever you are listening. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off of your first purchase. It was announced this morning that the Flames have their coaching staff. They have rounded out their bench, and there's some pretty good names there and a lot to look forward to. So we're, of course, going to talk about that today, as well as the preseason schedule being released and just how exciting that is because it gives us something to look forward to. But before we dive into that, please make sure you are subscribed to Locked On Flames wherever you get your podcasts, and of course on YouTube as well. Free 99 across the board. And of course, if you're feeling generous, nice little 5-star rating and a little review would be nice on iTunes as well. You can do the same on Spotify. Just happy to hear from you. So this morning, I woke up, did my thing, had a DM from a friend saying, why did Marc Savard change everything to Calgary? And then I was just like, well, he's been rumored to be the assistant coach. So I would assume he's either been hired or this is just like a joke. And of course, it turns out that he was hired and announced today. I saw that it was Jeff Merrick had talked about it on Thursday. There are so many hockey podcasts in this world. I can't keep them all straight. I don't know who's reporting what on what day, but yes, Jeff Merrick had it first on Thursday on his podcast. So pretty cool stuff there. And of course, this is pretty cool, I would say, as well as this Dan Lambert hiring, because both of them bring an offensive element to the game. The Flames need. It is no secret that their goal scoring was down last year. The whole team, it wasn't just select players. Some players did elevate their offense, but again, flukes happen, or just when you shoot a lot, like Tyler Toffoli, you're going to score more goals than guys that don't score. So in the press release, Craig Conroy goes on to say, we feel those past relationships will allow us to get up to speed quicker and hit the ground running. While Dan will be running our defense, he also provides a well-balanced experience, having run the power play in Nashville for the last 4 years. We are free of Kirk Mueller. We are free. We are going to see something, some life brought back into the Flames power play, which I think has been very needed, and it's not a secret. We have talked about this ad nauseum. If you tune into any Flames content, you look at Noah Adler's Twitter, you look at James Johnson's Twitter, you look at Audie's Twitter, you look truly at any Flames fan that is more in tune with like the media side of things, I guess, and kind of the more analytical, it just has a decent hockey IQ, they're going to tell you that this was needed. And it's very refreshing. It's just refreshing to have some new blood in the organization. And yes, the familiarity is good. I think that, sometimes bringing in only people that can kind of feel a little weird, because it could just kind of be like a boys club thing or nepotism or a yes men group. But here this feels like everyone's on the same page in terms of goals and timelines, and they want to work. They want to work. And it's exciting to see. And even if a lot of, these veteran players or players that have been with the Flames for a little while leave, I think it's still completely fine to bring in fresh blood, to bring in kind of this new era of Flames, because clearly the past wasn't working for you. So why stick with it? Why stay there? I think that it is a very, kind of optimistic thing. There's a little sense of optimism here. And it's good. It's good to kind of, breathe hope into things because, again, like we've talked about on this podcast with prospects, it's just the hope of something turning into something successful. Prospects, we talk about them and how everybody loves rooting for them and like latching onto one because there's this potential for them to become something. Same thing with this Flames organization. Every 5 minutes, I feel like I'm learning a new report. And there's just something, while things are leaving, there's just so much energy and excitement around something new. And that's so great. And I think this is my bold prediction. I will say this. I think that Rasmus Andersson is going to have a career year in goals. I think that he is going to go on a tear. I'm not saying a Roman Josi tear, but I do feel like he will be in that conversation in like November when people are like, these are my candidates for the Norris Trophy. Kind of like how, Erik Karlsson was that guy all season, right? And it didn't stop. But I do think that we're going to see an elevated element to Rasmus Andersson's game. And that's, to me, that, again, super exciting. Heartbeat of your team. Backlund doesn't accept a captaincy and gets out of here. I think your next best bet is Rasmus Andersson. But coming up next, we are going to talk about Marc Savard and what his resume looks like after leaving hockey and retiring. But before we do that, I do want to take a quick second to talk to you about the most comfortable pair of shorts on the face of the earth, and those are Birddogs. Birddogs stretch, and they're like khaki shorts kind of that are designed to fit slimmer through the thigh and give your leg a truly sculpted look. These are fantastic. Even if you skip leg day, they make your legs look great. And I like them because they fit better than regular shorts that are, kind of like super stiff and not breathable material. I love wearing these on my walks and kind of like my hikes through the mountains because, they're breathable. They have a liner, so there's no chafing. There is an anti-stink sweat wicking fabric that keeps you cool and dry all day long. So those bugs are staying away because I'm not sweaty. They don't want me. So you can get yourself a pair of Birddogs to wear to barbecues or baby showers or a hike or around the house this summer at birddogs.com/lockedonnhl. And you can also get a free Yeti-style tumbler with your order. That's birddogs.com/lockedonnhl for a free Yeti-style tumbler. You won't want to take your bird dogs off. We promise you that. And thank you everyone so much for hanging out with me today as we wrap up this week on Locked On Flames with some good news. Last Friday's episode was, last Friday we talked about Rasmus Andersson. It was last Thursday. I think that we talked about Daryl Sutter. Maybe it was Friday we talked about Sutter. Either way, we're wrapping up the week. Go check out those episodes. It's fun. Marc Savard coming in was super cool. I love this because it's just another connection to the Bruins for me. For those of you who may be new here, I'm originally from Boston, and I don't live in Calgary. I live in upstate New York now, but still a Bruins fan. And, I always like the ties because it's that sense of familiarity for me. And also, like, I'm able to talk on it and speak a lot about it, right? So this is just, again, another bold take. This is just the beginning of the Bruins Flames crossover era of the season. More on that later. But Marc Savard played with the Flames in the late to early 2000s, and of course ended his career with the Bruins when his career was cut tragically short by that disgusting hit from Matt Cook. I think that this will go down as one of the most egregious hits in NHL history, but also when people talk about, who's a player that got injured and their career ended early because of injuries, I think of Marc Savard. I think of him immediately simply because he still had so much left to give to hockey, and it is so unfortunate. And I do hope that, obviously, I hope he's doing better. I think that, post-concussion syndrome there are a lot of ramifications from that. And I remember he was like posting on YouTube a lot of him like taping twigs, and he would do like, he would emulate players' how they tape their stick, taping styles. But yeah, no, I do like this. I think that as someone's team that needs a lot of offense, how can you not want to bring in a very creative, offensive-minded guy? So after he retired, he did take some time away from the game, kind of, recollect himself, find himself again, get adjusted to life. And he was the assistant coach with the St. Louis Blues. And then he made the jump to coaching to be the head coach of the Windsor Spitfires of the OHL. And he saw a lot of success there. I remember when he was first hired in that first season, I was watching really closely because obviously, again, rooting for the guy. And he brought that team to a conference final. And he followed it up the second year with a conference final. Another one, right? So I think that this is just a brilliant hire. I love to see new faces behind the bench or given these opportunities. Yes, he did. Is he recycled if he only coached in St. Louis? I don't think so. I think he's getting broken in to the NHL coaching system. Give it 5-6 years, we may not be saying that, but goes for any of these guys, really. I think, again, you're bringing in someone that can get creative, kind of snazzy, clearly has coached a team offensively, because if you need offense to win games, but he also has that defensive element to it. So I wonder if, him and Lambert will kind of brainstorm at times and work together in that aspect. His last 82-game season in the NHL, I didn't realize this until I looked it up, but he was averaging over a point per game. Listen, I'm just saying, this feels very good. Something to be confident about. Again, this is a step in the right direction for the Flames. There are so many changes happening that it is so easy to just kind of feel like, oh my God, they're going to rebuild and everything's going to stink for 3 years and then we're going to draft super high and blah, blah. Or hey, we're doing all these fun and exciting things. The Flames are going to be the greatest team to ever step on the ice. There is a happy medium there. I think it's easy to kind of get swept up in both sides of things because, obviously two ends of the spectrum here, one extreme versus another, but there's still a lot of hope for this Flames team. Like we talked about yesterday, they still have Huberdeau. They still have Kadri. They still have Mangiapane and Uyghur. And Rasmus Anderson. There are still players here that make this a good team. They just might not have the pieces around them at the moment to make them a soggy middle team, but rather, creeping closer and closer to the draft lottery. Decent picks. I'm just saying. I don't encourage tanking. I don't think teams tank, but I think they do in the NFL. I think that, I don't want to say you can get away with it there, but I feel like because the season's shorter, we ran out of time. We didn't figure it out. NHL season's way too long. And you're never going to convince guys that are playing through torn labrums and everything, hip flexors, to lose. You're never going to convince those guys to lose. So I do think that, again, bringing in more familiarity to this locker room will be good. I hope that I don't get this sense at all, but I do wonder if this will still stick to the plan and keep everything on track. I think it will, but I think it will for like the first season, but I'm interested to kind of see what the long game is here. I want to know how these coaches feel, at Christmas break, and then of course at the trade deadline, and are you making the playoffs? I'm excited to revisit this in a year from now and say, look, this is what we wanted. These were the results, and this is how it affects this team moving forward. Just like we're doing right now. But coming up next, we are going to close out the show with some preseason schedule talk, because who doesn't love inching closer and closer to fall, but also hockey season? And before we do that, though, I'm going to tell you about an app that makes getting to games a heck of a lot easier, and that is with Gametime. Gametime is an app that is it gets you to games faster and cheaper. You can download the app today and check out events in your area and get the lowest price guaranteed, and you can see the view from your seats to help you pick out the best viewing area, whether it's a baseball game, whether it's hockey, whether it's a theater show, or if you're going to a comedy show. Gametime has you covered for all local events. Or if you're traveling, why not take this opportunity to check out Gametime's flash deals down to the very last minute of the event day, and get yourself some Gametime tickets with Gametime. All you have to do is download the Gametime app today and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Again, that is the Gametime app, and using code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Thank you, everyone, for hanging out with me today on Locked On Flames. You can follow me on Twitter at Jess Belmosto if you want. I really, it's an acquired taste, I would say. But I'm going to share my screen with you now, because I have something to show you. And I don't know if it's going to work or not, but okay, it's not going to work. That's fine. We're going to talk about the preseason schedule, and it's so hard to believe that it's already the end of June. So, this is approaching fast. And the preseason kicks off on September 24th against Vancouver in Vancouver, and then the Flames they're home. I clearly cannot read. The Flames are kicking off their preseason at home against the Canucks on September 24th, 6 p.m. Mountain Time. And then they are doing a split squad game with Seattle on September 25th. I think that is very exciting. I love when they do that, because you get to kind of see just all the different vibes. It is still so early. You don't know what you're getting. You don't know why they're icing the teams this way, and everyone makes a big stink about it, kind of how the Flames, I still remember when 0-for-6 on their power play in a preseason game against Vancouver last season, and that was kind of the first overreaction of the preseason game. But then they will be jetting off to Winnipeg to face the Jets, who will very likely have a different goalie, and they probably won't have a Blake Wheeler on their team anymore either. So that'll be definitely an interesting one to watch. People say, oh, Craig Conroy has the hardest job this summer. No. It is Winnipeg. I think Winnipeg has a lot of work to do, but I don't know how they're going to do it. And of course, we have our first Battle of Alberta in Calgary on September 29th. I was reading something today that said the Oilers used that playoff series to hype themselves up by saying, if we lose, we're going to blow the Calgary Flames up. They're going to be a whole different team because we beat them. That feels so childish to me. That's the kind of motivation I feel like you use in kickball in 4th grade gym class. But again, just my thoughts. And then we crawl into October at home against the Winnipeg Jets. Things are going to look a little clearer here. I think you're going to kind of have an idea of the opening night lineup, what the goaltending situation is going to look like, what that top line is going to look like, really what the whole lineup's going to look like, because we have no idea. We have desires, but are the Flames going to execute those ahead of the start of the season? And of course, you jet off to Edmonton again. Do they fly or do they take a bus? I don't know. I know it's a 3-hour drive, so I'm just asking. But then you close out your preseason with how you started it against the Vancouver Canucks in Vancouver. I've heard that Vancouver is a very beautiful place, and I was listening to a podcast, a true crime podcast, talk about Vancouver Island and how beautiful it is. And I don't think I've ever heard people say anything negative about the city of Vancouver, not their sports teams, of course, but I've always heard really nice things. So, and players are always super excited. I feel like that's one of their top destinations of the season. So I don't know, maybe the Flames ending their preseason there will kind of rejuvenate them. They saw all the beauty of British Columbia and can just start the season off on the right foot. I can't wait to find out who the Flames play opening night. I think it doesn't set the tone. It is way too long of a season to say the first game really matters. I mean, yes, every game matters because you need 2 points and those points accumulate. But for God's sakes, the Flames went on a 5-1-0, 5-0-1 tear to start the season, and then lost 7, and then just never recovered. So those first 12 games told a very different story than the end of the season, but we don't need to dwell on that. Thank you, everyone, for hanging out with me today on Locked On Flames. You can follow me on Twitter at Jess Belmosto, and make sure you are subscribed to the show wherever you get your podcasts. And we are free $99 on YouTube as well. Come say hi in the comments. A lot of people have been, chiming in there and putting their thoughts out there. I mean, I love to hear them because it paints a different perspective. Somebody said the Flames are done, and I said, how can they be done if it hasn't even started? Just an idea. But no, I would love to hear from you. Would love to hear, some reviews on Apple. They have a section on Spotify for what did you think of this episode? But it doesn't tell the creator. So it's 5 stars. Do some charity work this weekend and give the show 5 stars. And I will see you on Monday, and we will hopefully have some more clarity on who's leaving, who may be coming in, who potential trade partners are, and more on Locked On Flames.